minutes by car, so I do hope that on the free day I will have the opportunity, or we can go together to visit. You can see the big posters. So in many different ways, you see everywhere in the city that the Chess Olympiad is taking place. And it's a very special feeling for me that it is everywhere, and I can say that there are a lot of positive feedback. Every people, they are smiling and they are extremely positive, and they are very proud of their country also that they do organize this event, and they have such a huge cultural sport event, which is the Chess Olympiad, which is the biggest chess event every 2 years happening. And well, 2 years ago, we have to say that we were not able to have an Olympiad over the board because of the pandemics. So the last Olympiad before this, which was with this kind of similar atmosphere, with tons of different countries over the board, it was 2018 in Baku last time. It was in Baku, right?
No, in Baku it was 2016.
It was 2016. In 2018 it was Batumi. So, yeah, I was not playing there. I was just visiting there for a day or two. And but we had an Olympiad. It was an online Olympiad, took place in 2020, which was, of course, an experiment also by the International Chess Federation. As there was no possibility to organize an offline Olympiad, they still wanted to give something to the chess community, and they tried their best to be able to do it. Of course, technology gives an important role in chess, which we've seen during the pandemic, because we've seen incredible number of tournaments, shows, streamers became worldwide famous through chess, because chess was basically the only sport we were able to watch and play, enjoy. It was entertaining. But of course, it has difficulties. For example, you need to have internet connection for that. So this was one of the problematic issue in the online Olympiad in 2020. And it was a case between Russia and India in the final match. And it was exceptionally interesting, and I think first time in history. And, well, I can say maybe lost. I can hope that, I mean, in Olympiad you have to have 3 medals, right? You have gold, silver, and bronze. This is how it goes. And in this situation, of course, it was extremely difficult decision by the president and from the team who were making the decision. But this time, 2 years ago, it was given to 2 teams the gold medal, to the Russian team and as well to the Indian team. So that was the previous Chess Olympiad, which had to be organized online. Mihail, how much experience do you have on online chess?
I consider rapid chess and online chess as entertaining, but it should not be the real thing. No, for instance, during the pandemics, I was glad, there were no tournaments, so I was glad when I was invited to play with a Swiss team in the European Club Cup. It was rapid. And I scored quite okay. I beat Shiro, for instance. It was not such a bad game for online rapid. But, of course, this should be like training, like maintaining the contact with chess when you don't have tournaments. The level is, more superficial. You don't find the truth in rapid chess. And if you have to calculate on the screen board, even less. So it's something that saved chess during the pandemics, I believe. It actually, the Carlsen tournaments and the online Olympiad and all other things, they saved chess as a competition. But it's good that we return to over the board chess, which I find, there is also this communication of personalities. It's not only the moves. It's a dialogue between 2 personalities, 2 real people, not 2 mouses and 2 screens, So there are things, unseen things during a game. Moves you make or don't make because your opponent puts some pressure on you, or on the contrary, invites you to do something. So this you don't find on online chess.
Yes, of course, it has a completely different atmosphere, spirit. Well, I wouldn't say it's a different sport, because after all, we care about the moves, but still, it does have a completely different atmosphere playing online. I was not competing online in my career because I stopped 8 years ago competitively. And I don't know how I would be taking it if I would have to play. Probably you just get used to everything. And we also have to say that the online events were really rapid or blitz events.
Yes.
This is very important to highlight because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense to make a 5-6 hour game online, right?
Yes, of
it's
course.
not entertaining, it's a lot of time. That's not the point.
By the way, there is a curious moment when before this online European Club Cup, I asked whether I can use a chessboard to think my moves on the chessboard, and of course the answer was no.
Of course.
That would have been considered cheating because I wanted to. I mean, I wasn't planning to move the pieces, but I wanted to see that, to have the feeling that I play normal chess, but it's not allowed.
Yes,
So-
because I completely understand. It has a different perspective, right?
Yes,
If you
yes.
see a 3D chessboard front of you,
Yes.
it's a different feeling than if you see it on the screen. And you have to have the same circumstances when you
Yes,
play.
yes.
This is why it was very important, which was also quite strange when we started to get back to over the board and we had these plastic,
Oh.
transparent thing where you were splitting between row, line 4 and 5.
Not to
and
talk
there is-
about the masks, no?
and the mass. So, I mean, we are so happy that we don't have to play this Olympiad, for example, that way. But we can say that actually that all the boards are played on digital boards, which is a big thing. Let's say
of course,
10
of
years
course.
ago, I think it was not that all the boards, maybe already more, I'm not sure. But this is a big thing that they have like more than 1,000 or nearly 1,000 boards set up. And it's so interesting that just few weeks before the event, or few days, I don't know exactly the timing, it was tested whether the digital boards are working properly in a way that there was a world record set up by the organizers, which is, I felt, I think it's quite amazing that they made a tournament with the world record of having an open tournament and all the games played on the digital board and clock with 1,400 participants. So this is quite special already that that's the way they tested it, that it really works out well.
Yeah, this speaks about the effort made by the organizers to try to make everything perfect. No, it's.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go for Muzicuk Anna's game because she is playing on board 2.
Against February.
Board 1 of her country, of Ukraine, and against February Jazz. And actually they are heavily in the middle game already. So by now we passed more than an hour and a half. The games are running already. And so maybe already soon we might have some of the game finished even. Because
Do you think that none of the game finished? Because there is the 30 move rule.
well, there is the 30 move rule, but if you get checkmated, then I'm afraid it's going to be faster.
You are allowed to move away from the board, yes? To step away from.
Absolutely. So let's see what's going on right here between Anna and Jess from South Africa, I think.
She somehow won a pawn.
And well, that's what we see, that white has a huge advantage because there is an extra pawn on c5 or a2, depends which one you want to take it as an extra pawn.
And the bishop is not so dangerous.
The bishop is practically blocked, the king is standing very badly, so I do feel that this game will not last very long. Also white, after, well, her move was knight c4, the last move, and her plan is to go knight b6. And start attacking from the side probably to d7, then this diagonal with the queen. It looks extremely powerful, so this game we can...
She may also play a4, a5, just, I mean, the knight on c4 holds everything.
Well,
Queen
this is the
E3.
difference between you and me. I
You
go
want to
knight
do
b6,
something.
I go knight b6, knight d7, queen g8, let's go home, round 2, let's go back to prepare. You're playing a4, b5, I don't know, you want somehow positionally to win.
Yes. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have the pawn on a5 and then do all the things.
Yeah, but if you can win the game faster, I think why not do that?
It's true.
That's also. But okay, we understand and we agree that this game will not last long, and White is going to be winning this, right?
Yes, there was some forced sequence when Black tried to free her position in the opening. She played c5. Yes, okay, now. Yes, c4, and somehow she.
I played this with White. I had quite a few games.
Precisely this position, yes.
I think this exactly.
And maybe rook c8 now was wrong, no? Or what did she do?
It was rook c8 what she played, and after that dc5 takes and b4.
b4, and now she loses a pawn, no?
Why?
Bishop e7, c5, knight
yeah,
e5.
this goes like this, c5, knight d5, knight e5. So the black queen has to move
If
because
queen b5, then a4 doesn't look well,
at this.
No?
Look at this trap.
You trap the queen, yeah?
Oh, this is a sad news. So after knight e5, queen c7 is a must, and now queen a4 check, and the a7 is going to be taken.
Yes, but okay, it's just a moment. How did this happen?
Well, it's not possible because the e5 knight is still under attack, so knight d3. I think there were games still on this, you know?
I can check it.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was with me too.
No, there is nothing new.
No?
There is nothing new. No, actually there was one game. I think a6 was played, but why? Somehow I cannot see who played it. It
well,
was
okay,
played
so after a6, it's... well, the problem is for black is just simply that she cannot castle anymore. So this is the big problem.
And g6 is also no solution either.
Yeah.
So it has to be something more elaborated, either g5 or h5
And in such a case, it's always a problem that you cannot get out because bishop h6,
yes.
You have to go here, white castles, and then this rook is there for quite some time.
Yeah, so probably she has to try g5 or h5 and I don't know what next.
She went a6, she went f6.
f6, okay, but now she took the pawn.
But it's a big question that why did she think that that Anna will not grab her pawn when it's for free? So it just took queen a7, king f7, queen a3, coming back, rook hd8, white castled, e5. I understand that black is doing quite reasonable because this pawn structure is quite strong. The d3 knight is not located very well. It would stand much better on c4, right?
Yes, yes.
But the queen on b3 will be standing exceptionally well, I believe, because this diagonal, it gives some problem for black. King f8, so this is very weak diagonal for black. And you can see the technique of Anna. But simply,
if e4 is not the move, I believe, no?
Well, e4 is not so good. I believe that anyway the white knight should be relocated to c4. And it's even helping her out to move it to c4.
Yeah, it offers white some squares.
Well, in the other hand, it's a pawn up, right? So you have to do something concrete with black.
Yeah.
After all, now I would go with your a4 and then b5 and then gain space.
Can I try b6? But no, it's a pawn down. No,
well, it's a pawn down, right? It's only thing that after knight b2, knight f4, exchanging the pieces.
Yes, but I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. No, but in bad positions, all the moves are bad, no? Tarash said it.
Yeah, after knight c4, we can say that the game is over.
Okay, maybe h5. Okay, if anything,
okay.
She has to try h5.
Knight b6.
So I just was an exchange, you mean, yes?
Well, you have to go rook c7,
like this, okay.
Then I'm going to be taking on d8, check, and go rook d1. And it's just everything is...
I understand, yeah.
Queen e6, it's over.
I understand, white has full control, so...
Or after h5, knight b6, rook c7, if I can go also queen e6 immediately, so there is...
No, it's awful.
Yeah, it's game over.
No, the bishop is passive and also somehow in the way of the own pieces.
Yes, yes, the e7, that's the bishop,
yeah.
That it's... The white c5 pawn is also blocking it, but also having the pawn on f6 is just horrible. Okay, so let's go to some more. Let's pick...
Sara Batiashvili, the top board in match 3. Or do you want to see more Ukrainian games.
Oh, let's see what we have here.
Ushenina Badenhorst.
Okay, let's see that. Let's see that. Wow, it's very interesting what's going on here. Very complicated game. It was a Caro-Kann with e5, bishop f5. And, well, it's a closed system. Probably you never played this, right?
No,
I played it with white.
With black. I played with black. Actually, if I was sure that white would play e5 against the Caro-Kann, I would only play the Caro-Kann.
Really?
Yes.
Here, 3e5.
Yes. It's very fashionable, but I feel very much at home.
Well,
in these blocked positions.
It makes the position extremely complicated. As you see that all the pieces are on the board, and sometimes it happens that even all the pieces are on the board even in move 30.
Yes, and you cannot really evaluate. Okay, there are tactical positions. Those are, let's say, easier to analyze and calculate. But there are positions like this one, it's not obvious whose attack, whose plan will get through earlier. No, of course, I don't like the knight on h6 here so much. But okay, there is f6. Maybe it's not that bad. There is f6 and then the knight...
You mean that's the position we have now on the screen?
I have the... Okay.
g4.
Yeah, g4 is very provocative, no?
g4, well, it seems like g4 is very fashionable. I love that. But of course, in this position, in this system, g4 is something important. And now black has two options, right? All the time.
Knight h4 looks more natural, but she played knight
yes,
h6.
But it's round one. You're a much higher player. You not necessarily want to play objectively the best move, right? Mm-hmm. Because after knight h4, there are two options. Either white takes and plays f4, let's say, but then bishop e4 can be unpleasant.
E4, yeah.
Or more
knight
e1. Yeah. So white can go away, but even though I like knight on h4, black can even go h5.
Yes.
I mean, black can sacrifice the pawn and play bishop f5, bishop h3.
There are squares, there are...
Yeah, so after h5, maybe h3 white will be doing.
Apparently g4, the position after g4 was not played.
Well, maybe it's too early to play g4, you know?
There was only one game with that position with the knight on f5. White went a5. So there is no big theory. After knight f5 or bishop e7, we are already out of...
Yes, because somehow I have the feeling that black reached most of the things she wanted.
This is how I'm treating usually the Caro-Kann with black. I don't want to go c5 quickly, because then there is this clash, c5, then c4, and there is a lot of analysis, concrete play. And of course, in forced play, white always has something. I mean, he has the right to move first, no? So I don't like that with black. So I just go slowly, you know, just developing the pieces like this, taking some squares. So this is why I like this position for
So
black.
after h4, after g4, knight h4 maybe objectively I would rather play this. But she played knight h6, and after h3 went short castle. Generally speaking, I don't like this knight on h6 with black.
But f6 and knight f7 she might want to play, no?
But true that in this position, f6 or even maybe f5, but probably f6, which you say is better.
If f5, then...
yeah, then I can push maybe g5.
Maybe g5. Yeah, but it's not so clear if you can stabilize with white. So maybe even g5, f5, yes.
I don't know, maybe, what about I'm panicking and I take on h6? No, I don't play, no, sorry. After castle, we have to check first queen c1.
Mm-hmm.
Probably queen c1 is the first thing. What happens if I just grab a pawn?
So you take it, okay, you have to take
takes,
it.
Takes.
But,
let's say I'm doing a primitive way of doing it. You want to take this?
Maybe I can take that, no? Maybe I should take that.
I don't like this b3 knight so much.
Especially with a4 in the picture.
That's standing horrible. But okay, this is part of this opening, right? So I shouldn't
It's one of the variations,
much.
yes, knight e2, knight b3.
Well, that's how you open up the line for your bishop on c1.
Yes,
and that's how you develop to bishop d2. So that's part of the deal. Though sometimes I prefer to have my bishop on e3. So maybe here white is very slow. what about, after all, let's say I take on h6, takes, and I go bishop d3, trying to simplify the position a bit.
And to inhibit f6, no? But then I would go c5, probably.
Then if you go c5, I'm just going to take. I want to play simple chess.
Okay, take with a knight.
Maybe this is not what you're expecting from me, but this time I'm going to be the solid one.
If I would describe you as a chess player, for sure I wouldn't use the word simple.
Simple, I understand. But maybe I would take it. I have a d4 square.
Yes, but no weakness on e6. So no, of course, bishop d3 I like because it inhibits somehow f6.
Well, so what happens if f6 or f5?
No, okay, it just weakens a bit. Okay, so let's say it takes
because
on.
the e5 square is always a big debate in French or Caro-Kann, but we have this French structure here, right?
No, so I was thinking that maybe take on g6, but yes, and then on f6, but there is this weakness on f4. Actually.
Well, in this kind of position, I must say that g4 is something. Definitely, I would like to change the rules to go back as fast as possible to g2.
You know, I was a commentator on some sites many years ago, and I made this comment: the pawns never go back. And some, which is just a metaphor, no? It's just a way of saying it, that you should
it's
say
a
twice.
fact.
It's a fact. But some of the spectators was insulted, and he said, "What, does the Grandmaster think we don't know the rules?" Does he think that he has to explain to us that And I explained to him. And he continued being so outraged that I said that pawns never move back. But we say this as commentators.
No, we remind ourselves all the time. I reminded myself, I don't know how many times I was hearing this sentence from my coaches. Judith, do you know that the pawn never go back? Because I was making weaknesses like this, playing g4, and look at the weaknesses on f4, right? Because you have to remind yourself to understand that once you play with a pawn, you can attack with it, you can go forward, but you cannot protect squares like here, the f4 weakness, and it is a committal move. It's that's the problem of the rule of the pawn.
Yeah, it's true. Well, pawns are the soul of chess, as Fyodor said, but only if handled with certain care and affection. Yeah, I was thinking more of the affection side.
Well, in this position, white is in huge danger, I believe. Black goes bishop d6 in next move, and this knight on b3. I don't know if I mentioned it.
No, I was afraid of the weakness on g6, but it's not relevant. Even g5 may follow. Bishop d6, it's...
Okay, so for white has to be very careful, actually. This is, again, a position where I would say that I think it's easier to play it with black.
Yes, because white...
Though black has more possibilities, but it means that white always have to be careful and count on and calculate what happens if he goes c5 or she goes c5, what happens if she wants to go f6, what happens if, actually even king h8 and knight g8, I think
can be,
and it makes sense. Another move which is many times bothers white, playing bishop e4 in the center, so to push back and provoke a little bit white's position. So there are quite a few possibilities for black to be playing and continuing.
And with white, the only things, the only active constructive plan you can see is knight e1 followed by the f4. But then you understand that you play knight e1 and f4, and you give away the square on e4 without threatening f5.
Okay, seriously. So let's say knight e1, because
I think this was played, knight e1 and c5. I think this was played, no?
Knight e1, c5. So this is also something very typical, right? That you wait your opponent to make a move, and only after that you take action. Why is it much better to play c5, for example, in this position?
Than f6.
Because once the knight is not on f3, where it's actually having control over the center squares, right, e5 and d4, only after that she goes c5, so now you're like looking, oh my god, what happens with my center?
Yeah, she completed her development, got the king in a safe place, and now plays c5. That's the way to do
But black has a much bigger harmony in his position.
Yes,
because the rook
yes.
on c8 on the c5 will
Actually,
get
it has
active.
an aesthetic value. Yes, this move rook c8, keeping the rook on c8 for several moves before playing c5. No, it's
Yeah, getting ready
it
for a
has
threat
something.
of c5, and c5
Yes.
will be impossible to stop from white point of view. I mean, look,
Yeah.
you have the rook to support, the knight to support, the bishop to support, and you have only one poor knight and the pawn in the
Yes.
center to control the c5. So c5 comes like a geyser out of the...
No, but it offers you. You know, you keep c5 in reserve for such a long time, and then you play it. You
Yeah.
know you. But okay, I assume that c3 is more or less forced now because otherwise.
Well, after c3, what about really black is going to go f6?
Yeah, maybe.
Also, c takes d4 is possible, to be honest.
CD and
CD, CD. But maybe it's too early, I'm not sure.
yeah, because with the pawn on
Maybe,
c5 she
yeah.
cannot play knight d3 because of the fork.
Yes, because of
You don't-
c4.
Yeah, so maybe f6 as you say, no?
Well, though black is not in a rush for things, but of course f6 is very tempting to play, right? So if
Knight
white
f7.
goes...
This okay then.
Well, I don't know, it's scary, but let's say if I want to hold the center.
Then you probably take on e5, no?
Take on e5, takes on e5, takes on f1,
F1.
let's say, bishop f1,
Let's say knight f7 to go to g5.
and then the deadly knight will come.
This
G5
looks awful for white,
and to
no?
e4.
You see the queen stands on the... Actually,
Initial square.
we developed the queens mostly because we have to connect the rooks.
Yes.
But now there are no rooks to connect. Each
Yes.
rook had its independent life. So the queen on d8 actually, the queen is so mobile it controls both wings and somehow the center. So yes, now it's just fantastically placed for this plan with knight f7, knight g5.
Let's see what happens in the US board. What do you think with the other? Or you have some other?
The men's.
Yeah, or who plays on third board? Was it Poland or in the ladies section?
Ladies section is Georgia, but Sara Batsiashvili. Sara Batsiashvili is the first board in the match Iraq-Georgia, which can actually be...
Okay, some middle game. But am I calculating right that there is a pawn off for white?
I think your calculation... You have been always calculating...
Well, I'm not an expert in math, but I somehow missing a pawn for white to start with.
Optically, yes.
So this is not a position we have to see too much.
No.
Let's see what we have.
Sochko against Mahmoud, next match.
Let's see, Poland. This is already an interesting middle game, I must say. Well, we can talk about the structure a little bit. Well, I would pick white, that's clear. What about you?
No, I usually play such positions with black, but I have to understand. What was that, Spanish or...
No, it was completely different opening. It was a kind of...
Czech, but no, some old Indian defense it's called.
Well, it becomes very much...
The Malanuk system.
Okay, so what we have now on the board is...
So some King's Indian with the bishop on e7, which can mean many things.
Yeah, of course, black can go bishop g5.
Yes, you don't have a bad bishop. That's the first thing. But you don't have a king side attack. You don't have a king side attack.
Yeah, and you have a b6 weakness, right?
No, that's specific for this concrete position. Now the question is whether that pawn will be lost or not. Because otherwise, knight h7 maybe, yeah.
You don't like knight h7?
No, there is something wrong in black's position. I mean, rook e8,
is useless.
Yeah, I mean, for this configuration. I don't say that rook e8 was wrong in that moment. But now with the b6 pawn hanging, thinking that there is a rook on e8 blocking, for instance, the knight's retreat, and the knight on h7 far from anything, it's not harmonious. Because of course we would love, Yeah, why not something like, to prepare bishop d8? Let's say queen c7 and bishop d8 to just...
Well, I guess after queen c7, I would want to consider bishop b5.
Bishop b5. No, something went wrong earlier here. I just looked at the position on the king side, but I understand that the queen side is...
generally, right? Because, somehow it seems like black is behind in time. And really, as you pointed out, I think I also don't like the rook on e8. It should be placed on f8. It would be better, because if you move the knight to h7, let's say, what was happening in the game, the rook is, if it's on f8, then f5 is much more powerful as a plan.
Yes. No, but even when it was played, this is not the first urgency. a6, I know that. I mean, it was move 8, rook e8.
Yeah, that was some time ago when it happened.
I mean, what do you want to play? Bishop f8, g6, and bishop g7 to transpose to a king's Indian?
I don't know what was her
to
plan.
No, you have to prepare the play with a6, b5. Then, if the position gets blocked, then you. But rook e8 kind of, yeah.
Okay, so let's see what we have now, because it seems that the opponent is not necessarily an expert of this opening, but she ended up in a situation where, okay, black wants to go bishop g5, right? So still white has to prove that.
Yes. No, of course, bishop g5 makes things a bit easier for black.
So how to play with white?
But if knight c4, let's say.
If knight c4, which is the most straightforward, attack the b6.
Maybe b5 is possible, no?
That's
because
the question, whether can black go b5? Probably this is the plan.
b5, but knight a3, let's say.
A5. I wanted to go knight a5 in order to go knight to c6.
But also knight a3 just grabs the pawn without...
Let's see. If knight a3... It's funny, now you want to grab the pawn. I want to go position, and after knight a5 I would be happy to give the pawn with knight c6. So knight a3...
Knight a5, the only question is what happens after knight a6, if you go knight a5. Your pieces are hanging.
No, that was not my point to sacrifice my knight.
So I played the knight a3 out of instinctive safety.
Yes. But anyway, I would consider to play knight a6.
So it's okay. So it's even so before, yeah, okay.
No, I'm not sure, because it's bishop a6 with the tempo, right? So queen b3, b4 is not possible.
Okay.
So I don't know if after knight c4, is there any other way for black instead of playing b5?
She played rook b1. Maybe rook b1 is... yes,
rook
if black is forced to play rook b8, then...
So let's say I don't go, I just go bishop g5. I played knight h7 for that reason.
With the rook on b1, maybe f5 is a possibility. Because it threatens f4, okay, you can take the pawn, no? Because if you take, then take with the bishop and attacks the rook.
So you rather play f5?
All these blocked positions, King's Indian, French, it's such a chess. There are things to do on both wings for both players. And at some point you understand them, you get the whole picture. But you don't know what to start with. So that makes them so difficult. You, move by move, you have to reinvent chess somehow, concrete.
So after f5, what happens if I just take on
Queen b6, that's the first question, no?
Queen b6, definitely.
f4 is nothing special, no? You just take on c5.
Well, bishop c5 will happen anyway, yeah.
Yes, and I didn't get anything. Yeah, maybe there is nothing.
Well, okay, let's say queen b6, rook b6, I go bishop d8. But the problem is rook d6.
Rook d6, and my bishop is hanging on d7.
The bishop is hanging on d7, because I thought to play knight b7, but the bishop is attacked. And, bishop c7 is possible, but I think you will just go rook d7.
No, if queen b6, maybe just play knight takes e4.
I play bishop c7, okay?
Sorry, I was looking. Oh, sorry, I was looking on my board, and you were doing things. Bishop c7.
So bishop c7.
But maybe I take on D7 and
Yes, that's what I had the
F5,
feeling,
no?
that you take on D7 and
And on
after
F5.
rook D7 he takes F5.
Of course.
But I'm not sure that this is...
so one-sided, yeah. It should be good for white, but maybe not so one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, here still it's tricky, right? Because, well, white has 3 pawns for the exchange. It should be much better.
The pawns are not going anywhere yet.
But they are here and there, right?
Yeah. Then there is the C file, the second rank.
Yeah. So what happens if after all, what you had in mind after
F5, Queen B6, maybe
Queen
just
B6.
just take on E4 with the knight.
With the knight taking
Yeah,
on E4,
I still want to use
takes, and what about taking?
Bishop F5. I was thinking, and maybe use the pin because and now, but now what?
Generally, it's a great idea to take advantage of the pin, but
because knight
actually,
F6 doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work because
yeah.
knight jump and takes the bishop, right?
And knight F6 may be a threat anyway.
So after rook b1, it's not so easy for black to
Maybe
make
rook
anything.
B8 after
Rook
all.
b8, which is very passive, not very nice. But I
Yeah.
think white maybe just wants to simplify
I think that would be one of my favorites.
to exchange
yes.
the bishop on d7. It is very useful because the c6 square is a huge weakness.
Yes, it's tasty. So maybe, bishop g5. What else? No.
Well, I think white has a very nice advantage at this point, and
But it's never easy. With the blocked center is never over.
no,
I
of
believe.
course, yeah. Well, so far we covered some of the top board games. Of course, we are trying to show you some of the diversity what the Olympiad is offering on board 1 in the open section and also in the women's section. We are here at the 44th Chess Olympiad in Chennai, India, where everybody is so happy after 4 years to have the over-the-board games running from 186 countries. But now we are going to go for a very short break. Don't go away because we're just in a few minutes coming back.
Let's say knight f7 to go to g5.
And then the deadly knight will come.
This looks awful for white
and
now.
to e4.
You see the queen stands on the... Actually, we developed the queens mostly because we have to connect the rooks.
Yes.
But now there are no rooks to connect. Each rook had its independent life. So the queen on d8 actually, the queen is so mobile it controls both wings and somehow the center. So yes, now it's just fantastically placed for this plan with knight f7, knight g5.
Let's see what happens in the US board. What do you think with the other? Or you have some other?
The men's.
Yeah, or who plays on third board? Was it Poland or in the ladies section?
Ladies section is Georgia, but Sara Batsiashvili. Sara Batsiashvili is the first board in the match Iraq-Georgia, which can actually be...
Okay, some middle game. But am I calculating right that there is a pawn off for white?
I think your calculation... You have been always calculating...
Well, I'm not an expert in math, but I somehow missing a pawn for white to start with.
Optically, yes.
So this is not a position we have to see too much.
No.
Let's see what we have.
Sochko against Mahmoud, next match.
Let's see, Poland. This is already an interesting middle game, I must say. Well, we can talk about the structure a little bit. Well, I would pick white, that's clear. What about you?
No, I usually play such positions with black, but I have to understand. What was that, Spanish or...
No, it was completely different opening. It was a kind of...
Czech, but no, some old Indian defense it's called.
Well, it becomes very much...
The Malanuk system.
Okay, so what we have now on the board is...
So some King's Indian with the bishop on e7, which can mean many things.
Yeah, of course, black can go bishop g5.
Yes, you don't have a bad bishop. That's the first thing. But you don't have a kingside attack. You don't have a kingside attack.
Yeah, and you have a b6 weakness, right?
No, that's specific for this concrete position. Now the question is whether that pawn will be lost or not.
Hi, welcome back everybody to the 44th Chess Olympiad happening right here in Chennai, India. And already the first 2 hours passed from the first round. And things are getting more exciting because, of course, the opening phase of the game, everybody is looking what to play, move 10, move 15. But now we are heavily already in the middle game. And I think the best thing is to start with Mikhail with Alexei Shirovsky.
Yes,
yeah?
there is fire on board.
Yeah, because for those people and the fans and audience who were with us already from the very beginning, we were taking a look at Shirov's game before, where he offered and sacrificed the pawn already in move 5 with g4 in the philidor, and we left that position that for sure we can expect from Alexei something more to be sacrificed later on. And this is what we have on the board. This was the position when finally he did sacrifice more material than just a pawn. So he went knight c4, takes bishop c4. So right now he has only one pawn for the piece, because he was sacrificing in move 5 his g pawn from g2.
This
right?
is what happens if you sacrifice on move 5. You don't have the pawn anymore.
You don't have the pawn, but in the exchange you have a great rook which ties down the f8 bishop to g7 right there.
You know, Shirov was of course compared with Mikhail Tal because they are both from Riga. And I had in mind a game by Tal against Stringov, where he also plays knight d5. I think it was knight d5 just allowing c takes d5. And now we have something similar here, because knight d5 actually sacrificed another piece, but it gets some similarity with the Stringov game.
So what's the point after sacrificing, giving up the knight from d2? White has a knight on the center in d5, right?
But to start with, did he have a choice? White. I mean, I'm sure that Alexei anticipated this and went for this, but in the moment when c5 was played, maybe there was no choice for him, no? Maybe he actually...
Yes, but I think he must have prepared this in advance when he went knight d2
yes,
in this position.
This is what I mean. So this is the move which sacrifices material. Somehow I feel like this, because after c5 you don't seem to have a big choice.
Rook d8, queen f1, c5.
But very subtle, no? Queen f1, the queen retreats, but it's still very active, because it will sustain the bishop.
Well, for the moment it's not very active, right? Only if let's say f4 will be
No, but after c5, knight d5, it will sustain the bishop which takes on c4.
Yes.
And it can, so it's some flexible, temporary retreat.
Well, all this is possible, generally speaking, because the black king is stuck in the center, right?
Yes, it's an advance in development of at least 2 tempi, but considering...
Okay. What happens if I just go bishop c4?
Okay, take.
Queen takes c4, and...
move the bishop.
Well, the problem is I wanted to go bishop d6, but then rook g7, and on f7 some big problem will come.
Yeah, that's
after
the problem.
The knight jumps away, right?
So the queen and the bishop, they somehow permanently exert this pressure on f7.
Definitely. What about playing bishop b7?
Bishop b7, yeah.
So I want to get rid of this knight somehow.
And
one way or another.
Also ask White what is he
I know what
planning.
I want. Maybe
F4,
I want bishop d2.
And the queen doesn't have good squares?
Well, probably queen c5 seems to be the only one. And after bishop b4, black is going back to c6 or c8. Because after queen c6, bishop b5 also sometimes it's a threat. Let's say.
And it can get similar to this Morphy game, opera game. Knight takes b5, and then there was the pin of this knight on d7.
Yes.
If you go queen c6 first, it's...
Well, bishop on b5 is not something funny from
no.
black side, that's for sure.
No. But now takes on f6, takes
Now?
on d8, and bishop... Yeah, maybe... No.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure I have to take with the knight. I can just simply
Actually,
take with
this
the big
makes
pawn.
things, safer for black. He may even develop the bishop at some point, yes, it's true.
So I would be not happy to give away so after bishop d2, to give away the piece there. Queen c5, bishop b4, queen
Maybe
c6.
bishop a5 first.
Yes, here. I'm not happy to give up the knight on d5. This is what I want to say, that I would like to
Yes, but you see the
keep
rook,
it.
but the rook is will come. So no, bishop a5 instead of before bishop b4.
But queen is on c5.
So the
Queen c5.
No, I saw that the white queen stands both on e1 and f1.
f1. No,
yes.
no, it only stands on f1. So after bishop b4,
yeah,
queen c8, bishop a5, trying to get knight c7 in the next move. This can cause some trouble for black.
Yes, you have to attack on the side where, isolated from the king side, because you have these pieces, bishop f8 and rook h8, which are not playing. You don't want to allow them to defend on the king side, so you have to play it on the queen side somehow.
Well, for now they cannot develop. That's the biggest problem for black,
that's a problem. Yeah,
because really this pawn sacrifice on the g file,
yes.
it gives a lot of.
Well, first of all, it's the second pawn for the piece, which already makes things more balanced from material point of view. And secondly, how are you going to defend f7? That's also. Yes, and also yes, because if you take on d5, I take with pieces each time, and
so maybe bishop b7 is not possible because it's simply concretely after bishop b7 it's very forced. Bishop d2, so black cannot do anything else. But queen c5, bishop b4, queen c8, bishop a5. What happens if bishop c6 after all? We wanted to avoid this because of bishop b5. And probably we are right on that.
No, then knight takes f6 and bishop a5, and well, at least we retrieve material.
Bishop a5 it can be done any time, right?
But now knight takes d5. Now maybe it's not the same thing. No.
Well, I just take back. That's crap.
It's still a crushing domination. No.
This is not going to be else than a victory for Shirov in this position.
Yes, yes.
So bishop b7 probably is not a good move. And right here, this is where we are standing with Alexei's game, where black is having a very tough moment in this game because white's pieces are extremely active. So I don't know how is he going to be going on from here. What happens if knight takes d5? And after rook takes d5, yes. I go now the intermediate move, bishop c4, queen c4, and I find myself that my queen is trapped almost. As we know, almost is not in chess, it doesn't count. Queen b4.
Maybe queen d3, no, just to pin the knight.
You don't want to exchange. Completely understandable.
And now I have sets like rook d1. No, the rook stands well there, but okay, black has.
Well, of course you want to put pressure on the d5, right?
But I don't want to free the bishop.
Yeah, but you have to do something to improve your position.
With black,
on the other hand. Well,
let's say g6. Let's say g6.
Let's say g6 or maybe g5 even to stop f4.
Maybe g5. Okay.
Because I'm not sure f4 is not very strong.
Okay, g5.
No. After g. Oops, sorry. No, after g6 there is a quick win, I think, with rook d1 and rook e5.
Rook e5, yes, okay.
So that would be a problem. And after
bishop e7, bishop c5 works.
Bishop c5 doesn't work because knight e5.
Knight e5.
But,
knight e5, okay.
But you know, I think bishop b7 was played in the game. Bishop b7, what we look. So after bishop d2.
Yeah, it offers white some temp, you know.
I make my prediction that Shirov wins in the next maximum 10 moves. Do you agree, or?
But that would be before move 30. Is he able to allow to step away from?
They are not allowed to offer a draw under move 30, but the players are allowed to win the game under move 30.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, no?
There are some restrictions. True.
So let's see.
We thought that after bishop b7,
bishop
d2 is very powerful.
I like the mechanism.
So after bishop b7, of course, what we look bishop d2, I think it is extremely powerful. Queen c5, go bishop b4, and after queen goes back, bishop a5. It
takes some material back, if anything, and it threatens knight takes knight c7. So
well, black has to capture on d5, right? There is no other way for him.
Yes,
to
but
go
then
away.
we take with pieces each time, no?
Well, takes.
Now the queen is also...
But 1 second, maybe it's not so easy. After knight d5, bishop takes d5.
Yes, queen, rook d5.
And
no?
rook d5, knight b6. Rook
Queen
e5.
Queen b5 check is also possible, no? Queen b5 check might be even stronger, no?
b5, rook d7.
Now rook e5.
Bishop b7. I mean, now 2 pawns for the piece.
Well, it will be 3 after rook g7.
Well, if you want to go rook g7, rook d1 maybe also makes sense.
Yes.
Or also bishop b4 makes some sense. To put...
White is still playing with an extra piece because the rook on h8 is not...
Yeah, okay, but it's a rook. One day it can become a rook.
Well, yes. But I believe that for an attacking player this looks promising, no? I mean, okay, what does your intuition say about this?
No, it's clear that white has a huge plus, very dangerous for black, I think.
Of course, choosing the most
it should be
effective and convincing continuation is not easy.
No, that's also
Because
big...
everything glitters, but not everything is gold.
Yes.
That's...
Yeah, there is a... Well, you have to learn also the technique to win a winning position. Win sometimes when you have a huge advantage. But what can be also very difficult, that you know that you're winning, but you don't find the best move. Or even more, you have a position and after that you ruin it, or that's how you feel it. You go back and then you say, oh, the engine says plus 12. And why didn't I find it?
Yes, but okay, these things with the plus 12, I heard this many times, but there are such positions where there is a consistent plus, but you really have to find some very hard moves. I'm more convinced about a plus 2, which remains plus 2 after any reasonable move. I mean, then from human point of view, you can say that I missed a win.
Yeah.
But if you have plus 8 only because there is a variation where in move 6 or 7 you have something you would never think of, then it's hard to say that it was a winning.
But it's also interesting that nowadays, this new generation, obviously, I remember the first time I heard it maybe in the early 2000 years, that Rajabov was telling me, yeah, I was calculating, I was looking this, it's plus 0.30, it's not much. It's not like in the old days we say it's plus equal, plus under minus. That's how we were judging the positions, and we understood that there is a small advantage, bigger advantage, or just a win. And nowadays, of course, this new generation, everybody is working with engines where it says plus 1, plus 1.5, and then we know exactly that's the significant advantage already, or 0.35, that's no big deal, even 0.7 in some cases, it's not so much from practical point of view, so for me I had to adjust myself to that.
Yeah, well, there was a previous moment. Petrosian called the younger generations the children of chess informant. And I don't think he referred only to the thing that the chess informant was kind of like some sort of database, no opening database. Probably he also had in mind the fact that now the comments were without words, only symbols.
Yes.
And of course, in the 50s, in the 60s, also earlier, the Soviet players and all the players in the world, they would they would explain why it is slightly better
Chess
or whatever.
Emojis.
Yes, but then I heard such comments that well, I have a plus over equal, but a small one. So yeah, but probably he referred to the fact that now the comments are not so personalized, that they could not teach the essence of the game. So
yes, because when you look at a text of moves and comments, just the lines, it's you who have to make your conclusions.
Yes.
When you have it with words, when you write your books, for example, that's why you write it so the people, the audience, whether they are amateur players or masters or someone who wants to improve on a higher level also, you explain it because that's the way how you will be able to implement it yourself as well.
Yes.
Not only just, okay, this is winning, but you have to understand it, right? And with international signals, the chess emojis with plus, minus,
yes.
minus, plus, or whatever, it gives an indication, and it gives you feedback, and it gives you what it wants to be, but you have to make much more on your own to make the filtering that, well, this is really good, and actually, why is it good? So you have to look at it carefully.
No, of course, the chessing format was a good thing because they, in relatively little space, I mean, one book, they could include hundreds of important games. But you should not limit yourself at using the emojis or the plus, okay. What you said earlier, I think that classical comments are still useful because they say something that you may remember in a similar situation.
Yes.
And use it because you have it inside you. You feel it by heart.
But this is, I think, well, seeing the playing call, it seems like everybody's in red, all teams.
Yes.
From this perspective. And I join with my red shirt here. So
yes, the next match is...
Bishop d2 is on the board with Alexei.
Alex.
Yes, and nowadays, of course, talking about informant, that only the games and the moves and the evaluation and the like a question mark, exclamation mark was in the informant. Nowadays, we have little similar from point of view if you're working on the computer and you're seeing your own game or you're looking any of the game of the Olympiad, you switch on the engine, and actually it gives the same thing, right?
Yes.
It gives the evaluation, it gives the suggestion what is the best move, but still you're not going to be understanding exactly, okay, I see it's winning, that's what the machine says, but actually why is it winning? I have to look at it. You have to observe and look further the move. So this is, I think, a big challenge for this generation also, that how to balance the preparation over the board. I mean, that they are physically touching the pieces, playing it out in a training session, or they are only looking at it on the screen. And there is a huge debate also about whether is it good for your chess or not so good for your chess to play blitz online. Even more to play the bullet blitz, which is 1 minute on your clock and on your opponent, and there is like an extra even more on that.
It's even quicker than...
There is a quicker one with 30 seconds, which is Alireza Firuza, who is world number 2 or 3 right now in the world. He was doing during the candidates. So the
result was...
The result was quite obvious there. But what do you think about playing blitz or bullet blitz online? As a preparation or just for fun? Is it neutral or is it something that it can give improvement?
No, well, okay, for me, for instance, 3 minutes plus 2 seconds, that's normal. During the pandemics, I have played on some site. They had a Bundesliga. I played with the team every Thursday and Sunday. That was okay, just to keep contact. Of course, you get irritated when you get flagged or so. Of course, for me, plus 1 minute or half a minute, that's something which doesn't have anything to do with chess. But okay, Nakamura became a strong player playing like this, so I would never say never. I would never do it. That I'm sure about that. It's too much for the nerves. I mean, okay, and you don't get any chess results, at least for my way of being. But okay, for Nakamura it worked. Maybe Alireza also knows something. Maybe he played badly at the candidates for other reasons, not because of that. But in principle, I see it that it's a dangerous thing, especially if you get too much into it.
Yes.
I mean, even normal bits 3 plus 2 or 5 plus 0, okay, 1.5 hours a day should be okay. But more than that, it takes you out into a world which doesn't exist, actually.
Well, I know that, for example, Vladimir Kramnik is very much against the bullet blitz games. That's we had the Challengers chess tour. We were mentors of the youngsters, including Pragnananda was there and some other great talented kids. and we were telling, and Vladimir expressed his way of thinking about bullet chess completely. He's very much against it. I can fully understand and feel for that view. At the same time, I see that this generation, they are so much grow up with the possibility of playing. For example, I was playing tens of thousands of games in my very early year. I was with my sisters playing every day 10, 20 blitz games, to say the least. Also, I was playing like blindfold chess as a training. And I'm 100% sure if I would be 6, 7, 8 years old now, I would also play, but probably I wouldn't play with someone physically. Of course, if my sister would be there, I would be playing, but I would for sure be playing with some friends or some people online. And also what gives an interesting opportunity for youngsters to test some of your some
openings,
of their
for instance,
openings,
yes.
because we were doing
the reflex to see if you have the reflex in.
Yeah, and I know that even Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, he's well, maybe I cannot say it for too long that he's the world champion, but he also goes online and tests some of his ideas, whether it works, whether he has the feeling for it, or getting into the spirit of that kind of new opening, to feel the middle game, to feel the end game, to feel the structure, to feel the ins and outs, right? And I'm pretty sure that many of the players, the youngsters and even not the very young generation anymore, they go there and test. If you're very deliberately know what you're doing in online games, I think it can be beneficial.
No, of course I agree, but if you play 5 hours a day, then it's too much.
No, that's...
I see. At least, well, each of us is built in a different way. But no, by the way, I believe that Fischer was somehow against Blitz. But then what happens in 1970 during the USSR versus rest of the world match, they organized the first World Blitz Championship. And Fischer won with 3 or 4 points more than the runner-up. So he was against it. He said it, but when they organized it, he played it and he won it quite convincingly. So, well, of course, it was 5+0. There was no digital.
There was no official clock, right? The first Fischer clock was implemented and used in the rematch in Svetistefan between Boris Spassky and Fischer. Yes. And after that, the next event was my match against Boris Spassky, where we played. It was still very heavy, black clock with yellow top of it, where we could push the clock. We still have one sample. My father is a collector. And so that was the second event. And look now, by now, for a decade or two, or nearly 20 years, I think, we play with digital clocks, and how natural it is that now the players are receiving after every move 30 seconds.
But at the same time, in top level tournaments, like for instance in the candidates, they also want to move back to the thrill of the moments where there was no increment. And they have increment only after the second control.
Yeah, but it's strange, you know. For me, it's very strange that, we have that in the World Championship match, right? After 61.
In the candidates too. And some top tournaments also.
For me it's very strange though that after a certain number of moves you have a different settings.
Yeah, but okay, they want to make it real. I mean, to have a real-time trouble until move 60. Yeah. And then once you get only that quarter of an hour or half an hour, you cannot live forever out of that. So then you need the increment. Yeah,
and of course it's always a question how to balance it, the time. How much time is enough for that, what all this was developed for. So the idea is to get an additional time after every move is not that you want to be very generous, but that when you end up in a position where it's blitzing out, so if you have a very winning position, you're not going to be flagged or you're not going to be such a big mistake just because you have only seconds on your clock. So that's the original idea of it.
Yes.
Only for the last part of the game.
Yes.
Not to be flagged.
Yes,
right?
to defend the drawn ending or win.
Yes.
Have the time to win. But by the way, about this increment,
I think we have a game finished where
Muzyczuk,
I'm pretty sure she won. Let's see. what happened in the result.
She won, yes.
And she did win the game, which was not a surprise because where we stopped before.
She had a queen for a rook and a bishop and 2 advancing pawns in the final position. So,
well, we can just bring it up the final position. So
we recognize the structure. We saw that black didn't manage.
Well, basically, this is where we had seen last time, and it was clear that we agreed that knight b6 will be the move, going towards to the king.
You win.
And after knight d7, she went queen e6, and after h4, black lost material because the bishop and the queen cannot be connected anymore, so she had to play queen f6, and after that it was only a matter of technique by Anna, which was not the biggest challenge of her life, but whenever you have your winning position, first round, you're a much better player than your opponent, you still have to collect the point. And as we were discussing, 2.5 points is enough for every team to win their match. At the same time, even in the round 1, you have to make sure that you collect as many points as possible, because there can be 1, 2, 3 teams even to have the same number of match points. And when it comes to that, then already the secondary calculation will be very important, how many games you've won on the board. And anyway, it's not only that, but also that you want to build up your self-confidence, that when you are better, you're playing with the white pieces, you want to collect the point in the first few rounds. I mean, that's how the top players have their mindset that, okay, it's you have to do it. It's part of the job that in the first round you play much lower opponents, but that's how you kind of warm up. And then by round 3, 4, for sure we are going to have already matchups, which is absolutely going to be a different caliber of quality of the games also, because there's not going to be such a big differences between the one player or another from the countries. Let's go back for a second for Shirov, and then we can move to some other games, because I just
wanted to say about Shirov that for him there doesn't seem to be this notion of first round, relaxed round, warming. No, he goes for it.
Yes.
Now we have our position, yes, after bishop a5.
Yeah, this is what we were looking, and we said that after bishop a5, white is doing extremely well, because, well, we can see that the black
advance in development, yes, huge.
Is still in the center. Development is very much behind for black. So he will have to give up the rook. There is no way of escape. And maybe that's even the better version. But I think he definitely has to eliminate the d5 knight.
Because, you know, maybe some other players would think, okay, it's the first round, it's a less strong opponent. Why would I sacrifice anything? I will beat him anyway. But not Shirov. This is his chess.
Well, when you play g4 in move 4-5, you're not hiding that you want to be positioned.
Bishop c4 or just something neutral. But no, he remains true to himself. There is no such thing as an easy game. No, he goes for it. I mean, he takes risks. He knows some theory, but it's a pawn down, now it's a piece down, and still this is the chess he plays.
Yeah, this is, I think, important. And it's also interesting that Shirov is playing in round 1, because it happens with many of the top teams. I know that when I was playing in my team, it was a debate. For example, Leiko did not like to play in round 1 because he thought, well, okay, it doesn't give me extra energy, it doesn't give me any entertainment, pleasure, whatever, so let the others play. And even sometimes he didn't play in the first first 2 rounds. For me, it was something that I was always happy to play, and I don't think ever any Olympiad I skipped the first round, because somehow I knew
you win the game. It's good. It's a positive feeling.
There are people around. I want to feel the atmosphere. I want to feel the whole vibe of the Olympiad. I even say hello to people here and there in the first round, so it's not the most difficult game I'm going to be playing. And still, somehow, I was happy to collect the point. Of course, I knew that I have to collect the point, especially in the days when it was board point which counted.
Yes.
But for me, it was something very natural that I was playing, and usually I was playing many of the games, but I know that many players like Magnus, obviously he says, okay, I don't want to play in the first round, maybe even the 2 rounds, I don't know. But many of the top players, I think they say, okay, I don't play, I just play when it's really tough. The big guys are coming, the crucial game is coming, right?
But I remember on Olympiad in Istanbul, I was following, Danilov was the captain of the Bulgarian team, okay, with Topalov and Kirill Georgiev, Delchev also, okay, quite a strong team. And I noticed we had 14 rounds then. And it's a long tournament. You cannot, I played 3 times, I played 13 rounds, but it's a lot. And I noticed that he didn't use Topalov and Kirill Georgiev in the first 4 rounds. He wanted them for the last 10 rounds. And it seems to work perfectly. The Bulgarian team now got a more advanced position. They seem to be very close to a great result. But you can never calculate this. Then they lost to Finland, I believe. They lost quite badly in round last but one, penultimate round or something. You can never calculate these things. You can never know. I mean, they were on the way to a great result. Maybe medal, maybe. I don't remember exactly, but there was this, yes, I think it was against Finland. A team which was supposedly inferior to them. And they lost. So you'd never know. Ivanchuk, for instance, plays all the games if allowed. He always plays the 14 games. You never know how it is best to spare your energy in the beginning or to light up your inspiration and your shape by playing many games.
Well, it's different for every player.
Yes.
Knight d5 is played in the meantime, so now Alexei is thinking. I don't think he's going to be thinking long. I think he's going to take back bishop takes d5.
It was, most natural. No, e d5 should also offer...
Bishop d8 is not something we want to consider, right? I mean, after that, black can go knight f4.
That's an improvement of the position already, no?
Yeah, I think black is alive now.
Well, maybe bishop b5 now, after knight f4.
But bishop c6,
and queen c4, yeah.
Well,
no, this line concretely, but I don't think that bishop takes d8 is... bishop c5.
Bishop c5, rook g7.
It's quite a funny position, by the way, we reached.
Well, it's, indeed.
Somehow the pieces are moving...
no, but it's not clear now, suddenly,
No,
what is really going on here.
Yeah, it's true. No, suddenly black's position looks so beautiful. I mean...
It's the best position he had in this game.
Yes.
With little exaggeration. So bishop d8, knight f4.
Yeah,
so
but
it's a big question.
I don't think that bishop takes d8 is such an emergency, let's call it.
Yeah, so the question is how Alexei will be reacting on knight d5. We were looking bishop d5.
Yeah, maybe bishop d8 he can consider, but okay, why? Because after bishop d5, knight b6. This would be the only reason, no?
So what about bishop d5?
Takes a knight b6, you said, yes? Rook takes?
Rook takes. Yeah, this is what we look, knight b6, bishop, queen b5.
Queen b5, yeah.
So this was problematic for black.
Mm-hmm. No, of course, Shirov knows that he has to foresee the concrete thing, so probably he wants to know in advance what he will do.
Well, it's not going to be easy for black.
It's not that he doesn't know what to do, and this is why he's singing.
No,
he knows he has to choose.
Yes, exactly.
And it's better to choose earlier.
Yeah.
Than just write one move after the critical moment. So.
No, he wants to make sure that he makes the right choice between bishop d5 or bishop d8, practically.
In my opinion, he doesn't consider bishop takes d8 as such a big candidate, but it's better to decide that now.
Yes, you want to make sure that
yes,
you know
yes.
what you're doing, you know why you're
Did
doing
he play
it.
it or is it?
No,
he
no,
played?
no,
No?
I played it, and he went bishop takes d5.
I mean, you have to make sure if
You want to keep the initiative, right?
Yes,
you don't
yes, yes.
want to give the opportunity for black to get
intuitively, I think he would have played bishop d5 at once.
instantly.
But
Clear.
you know that sometimes intuition can go
Yeah.
wrong, and there is this critical moments when you have to choose a move order, and if you don't feel it, then it will be too late. I mean,
Yeah.
you may offer chances and so on.
Yeah, but I don't think he will ruin this. I think
No,
after
no, no.
bishop d5 it's extremely difficult to handle.
He takes it very seriously somehow.
No, he knows that you have to work for your point, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean, after all, he gave up material, so he has to control it. That
No,
he
and
knows
plus
why he gave.
take it another way. I mean, he got this first round, and he already got one of his fire on board positions.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, why would he want to win quickly? It's okay.
Well-
No, I mean quickly by time, by time, not by
Yes,
moves.
Yes.
Why not
Yes.
sit there and enjoy the feeling? Because after
Yeah.
the game is over, okay, you'll give autographs, but it will not be the feeling of being in the game. So I also have this feeling. No, I mean, why to hurry? I mean, just let yourself.
Well, especially if you have time until.
Yes, yes.
I mean, now actually we can see the time. He has only 19 minutes left.
And the
So
opponent 17.
it's only to move 21. So
Oh.
for me, it's also unexpected suddenly that we are already heavily in the finishing the third hour of play, which means that, well, we started out with 90 minutes for the players, right? So
Bishop
they're
a6
spending
is the answer.
bishop a6. So this we were not considering.
I timidly considered it mentally, but I was ashamed to suggest it because the bishop had been on a6.
Yeah, but the
earlier.
situation is not so good. So he wants to go away from
Yes,
opening
yes.
the d5, right? So this is kind of understandable. But the question is where the white queen should be going.
If queen
D1,
h3, then
G-
knight b6. Then knight
That's the
b6.
thing.
That's
After queen h3, knight b6, and suddenly black offers an exchange of queens, which obviously white would not like to have.
queen f3 maybe, but okay. No, this already it went astray. Maybe queen h5.
Queen h5, knight d5, queen e5. You want to go?
Or bishop takes d8
Bishop
now.
d8.
No? Maybe now is a good moment for that.
I was thinking about knight f4. I know that you're going
Check
to
and
grab
knight.
knight e6. The only thing is I don't have enough pawns. That bothers me from the black
Yeah, the
side.
material is about equal now. Yeah, but black. Yeah, the bishop. No, now f4 at once is possible. No.
Possible, but queen,
F4.
queen c5, I think. Queen c5, queen d8. It's kind of, well, of course, this king on e8 is always keeping black.
And it's not a material advantage already. Actually, from material point of view, white
Yeah, two
is-
pawns and a rook for a bishop and a knight.
Of course, your queen takes
But,
e5, maybe
what-
even simpler.
This
no?
is what we have on the board already. Queen h3, knight b6.
So maybe this he calculated when he was. It was not just enjoying the position, but this knight b6, this bishop a6, and
And actually, they don't have so much time because when you have your move, what move are we? Move 22, you have 18 minutes, black has 17. You're already getting, or at least when I was playing, I started to get a little nervous as well. I have to be watching my time. If I go down one or two moves, then you have to double think about it whether you have time to go to the toilet if it's far away. So there are some practical issues around this also. But he went queen h5.
No, if knight e5, of course, your queen e5 is also possible.
Yeah, the thing is that we looked
Bishop takes
bishop
d8.
d8 first, but I think
maybe your queen takes e5 is even stronger. No.
I don't know.
Queen is
maybe
six.
queen e6.
Takes bishop d8, knight
I don't know. I'm careful on
maybe
entering into the end game.
No. This is already many squares for black, no?
Yeah.
Well,
this
there is also
is
a threat,
fantastic
yes.
counter chance. Even maybe it's not bad.
No, because
it is so much counter chances
yes.
that it's chances for both sides.
Yes.
I would say so. Black really have to be careful a lot.
So maybe still bishop takes d8, no?
So knight d5. No, I'm wondering, isn't it possible just to take e takes d5?
I was also thinking, because it's not a committal move.
I just don't like that knight when it's jumping around.
Yeah, just keeping the position as it is, and okay.
It's hanging on d8,
D7,
hanging on e5.
Rook d7 maybe, no?
Wow.
Oh, okay, I don't know, do we have a...
I don't know.
I agree with you.
Rook e7?
Yeah, queen d4, no?
Yeah, I mean, okay, white has 2 pawns only,
D6,
but look, I mean,
D6,
look at
D6
this.
Rook d2, no?
Yeah, but I wouldn't be happy with white if this is the position I have to end up.
I would have hoped for more, no?
Yeah, I don't like this bishop pair from this side.
Yeah, you would have hoped for more. So now we understand why
So
Alexei
bishop
was...
d6.
Maybe still rook g7, no?
Well, rook g7, rook d7. Actually, let's see what we have on the board. Rook d7 was played. Rook d7.
Also interesting.
Well...
But takes on e5, I guess, no? And if rook e7, queen... Of course, now the d-pawn is not running. There is no d-pawn.
Well, let's say queen e5, okay? Or bishop b6 is also possible. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yes, but you know...
To capture.
No, but we are not afraid of knight takes d5, because then ed, this is the thing we will be missing.
No, the only thing is that maybe somehow with the defense, for example...
Queen d4, and now we also have the threat...
this is...
We also have the threat bishop b4, so maybe it's not a bad idea to keep the bishop.
Queen d4.
I like that bishop somehow. It's if knight d5 ed, we got this position and we're happy.
So what happens if just black goes back to d7? Right.
This is possible. Rook g7.
Well,
really
yeah, this is always a question whether white can also sacrifice extra material. Takes
rook
and
f8,
rook
bishop
f8.
b4, no?
Yeah, bishop b4. So this is the reason why you wanted to leave your bishop.
I thought that, no, actually I was thinking that after rook e7 I was threatening bishop b4 at once.
Yeah.
And now rook e7 is forced, no? I think. But it's a bit pinned for black, no? It's...
No, now it's over.
Rook e7, then maybe we have bishop c6. And or maybe it's, no, we sacrifice too much.
No,
sorry.
Here just takes and queen e5 check.
Ah, yeah, okay, the simple
now
way.
It's just
the simple way, yes.
It's just completely over. So after rook d7, but okay, I understand why Alexei is thinking. He has 16 minutes. He understands that he just has to find few more good moves.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
That's all.
I know that he's a very principled player.
Oh yeah. If he believes in something, he does it.
And he's sincerely unhappy when he wins a game. If there was only one moment when he gave chances to the opponent, I remember he won a very good game against Harika. It was in the Isle of Man, and the game looked just like this. That it was really a strategy lesson in the French opening. He was white. And then he came to me and he complained that and then I checked the game at home and I understood that when he gave the chance, she could have got some counterplay with a far from obvious move, which would have led to a draw. But he saw it during the game, not with the computer. And he was disappointed. Yeah, the queen going somewhere and somehow the white king would be not that... Okay, the game didn't want that way, it returned into the normal path. So, no, he doesn't take chess lightly.
No, of course, he's an extremely passionate player. He has incredible games, very spectacular depth. And it's interesting that for many years he was extremely tactical, and you could see him, but later on he became a much more rounded player when he played his match against Kramnik, which was, 2001 or something, somewhere, early 2000. He won a match against Kramnik. So he was in incredible shape in those times. He was there in the top 5, top 10 for many years.
But even this game, would you call it a tactical game? It's not really tactical. Okay, there are some tactical threats on the way, but actually it's an attack. But okay, things are developing slowly.
Well, it's an attacking game.
It's an attack.
It's an attacking game.
But attack is a consistent thing.
Yes.
I mean, just placing your pieces well. We saw some combinations, but none of them happened in the game. So.
But now it becomes, of course, very tactical.
Well, maybe he will soon deliver a combination, but we cannot call the game in general as tactical. It's it's a nice attacking effort so far.
Yes. But it's interesting that, of course, all players want to get the initiative. If you look at the top players' games, then with all the top players, you will find that people want to get initiative. And this is a great example of that basically already move 5, the pawn was given. And we have another game finished there.
It's interesting how the structure...
Georgia, Iraq, and I think in board 1, Georgia scored the first victory there. Well, already soon, from minute to minute, we are going to see more and more games finishing if round 1, because we are having finished 3 hours of play by now. I
see that Aronian's the structural balance improved a lot, partly because... Oh, but he's an exchange...
We will go there.
No, Aronian is very interesting.
Yeah, we go there. Just
Silva Aronian. You remember the slow opening? But we want to see Queen E5 was played.
We just have this
These too interesting. These too interesting, yes.
So Queen E5 was played. I do believe that this game will not last long, to be honest.
Yeah, when it becomes concrete, of course, he can calculate and he will play quicker.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Aronian's game. You say it's something interesting is happening over there. We have move 37, where people already expecting to have a position, maybe already endgame without queens, but it's not at all the case, actually. White has material up.
Well, it's a pawn for the exchange, so let's say it's almost material equality.
Let's say which side would you take?
It depends on whether I can defend the pawn on c7 or not.
On c5,
On c5.
But what happened with
let's go back to see.
What happened with Aronian? We were looking this in the opening. We saw that Black has a great game because he has very active pieces and the bishop attacking and the queen attacking and the rook will be coming.
I'm not so sure about Queen d6. It's
Queen d7 we thought, but Queen d6 doesn't seem to be
No,
posing
because
a
it
problem.
runs into knight c4. But okay, he
So now bishop d3 is not possible to rook d1.
And if c4, knight
This
c4.
is the problem,
yes.
knight c4. Okay, so this we understand. After queen f3, Levon started to play knight h5, which is a sensible move, maybe even thinking about f5. But these pawns still, the double pawn is not necessarily something
if you play f5,
nice.
yes, the double pawn is...
Okay, rook d1.
f5 is better played with e6. e6 and f5.
I don't know,
so
for now I think bishop b7 was played in order that after that f5 is possible and then black can be even pushing the pawn, possibly. Though I'm not a big fan of this bishop at all. I'm not a fan
but in
of
principle, black doesn't have a bad position.
No,
I mean, I think
not at all. Not at all.
It's almost one-sided,
Bishop
I would say.
b3, king h8, still keeping the idea of playing f5. Queen g4, provoking black. Queen c6. Well, I like kind of to have the two pieces, the battery on the diagonal.
But if it doesn't work, then... no, I would just...
So actually this was a provocation, by the way, that after queen c6, white did play bishop d5.
No, but I would have considered e6.
e6, no?
e6 to play 5...
yeah. I like e6 with
E6?
the idea f5, and also after that he can go queen c6.
Yeah, of course, of course.
But it's not so easy to win this game.
So you think
I think it's not so easy. So I think he did it very much on purpose, queen c6.
Maybe.
Because he thought that he's going to be provoking. Bishop d5, takes, f3.
I wouldn't be so unhappy with black in this position, actually.
You wouldn't be happy?
Unhappy.
Yeah, well, that's why he played queen c6.
I think black has a great position, no?
Yeah, I think black is completely fine. He has complete compensation. I mean, this knight also on a3. And this bishop on b7 is incredibly powerful. Queen c4, queen d6,
space.
Queen a4. Well, I would rather play this with black myself. But queen b8, and then white started to go b4. I think generally black should be somehow fast, but still, it's a very tricky pawn structure.
He lost space somehow. The queen went there.
And then look at the f3 pawn is blocking the bishop on b7.
Yes, actually, this is very irritating. So maybe that bishop on b7 is not such, especially with the queen on b8, because there are no sacrifices on f3.
Yeah, that was not nice that he had to go back. If he had to go back, c takes b4, queen b4, rook e8. c4. No, something went wrong in the last few moves for black, I think.
Yeah, I think that e6 would have been safer somehow. I mean, okay, exchanging...
Maybe this exchange sacrifice, it was not so easy.
It should be reasonably good, but it's not that... It's less good than it may optically look. Optically, it looks
optically it looks pretty good.
But concretely, if a player of Aronian strength... no, because
White is not worse at all.
White is playing now, no?
White should be slightly better here, I think.
I mean,
it's clear White is taking the
play is very easy for him, no?
Queen b1, king g8, coming back.
Yeah, of course.
Bishop c6, queen b3, knight c5. Well, White took. I'm not sure I would be taking though.
Yeah, because there is a weakness on b6, no?
Okay, queen c2, bishop d7, rook b1.
Actually, this also, this makes sense too.
Queen c1. Of course, White is going to be alternate the attack over the a5 and c5 pawns. Queen b6, rook b3, now regrouping to d8, which makes a lot of sense.
This square has moved quite a lot, no?
Yeah, and it had reached to the same place. Basically from d6, it went to d6, c6, I think.
Some other place.
Then d5.
Then d6, c6 again, or c6,
yeah,
d6.
I don't know. Somehow it has artwork.
Of course, there are some games of Karpov where he does this with some piece going around, but
now I think he was fortunate that he could replace his queen to d8.
Yeah. Because otherwise there are
rook eb1, rook b8,
and queen e3.
Queen e3, and finally he pushed e4. He wanted to get rid of his pawn. You see, he couldn't stand it anymore. The block.
But this is already bad for black, no?
Well, White has an exchange up.
with equal
He doesn't
pawns.
even have extra pawn.
No, okay, there are technical problems
Difficulties,
to win
yes.
this, no?
Yes, that's true. That
But still, the knight. Maybe some king h1 to start with.
it's not so easy to improve for white.
Yes, because if knight c3, then maybe rook b4.
And this e4, I think, was very nice, and it's so typical. Again, talking about initiative. The top players, you can see that they just like space for the pieces. This is a very good model position for that, you see.
Yes.
He just can't stand it anymore to have this frustration with the pawn on e4, on e5 to block it. So eventually he wants to reach out with his bishop to d4.
Yes, because if takes with the pawn, then bishop takes b5 and...
that would be a blunder, right?
Yes,
If takes, that's a full blunder, and actually black
Yes.
would be winning the game. Even this would be not winning because he could just go away, and it's a win.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's incredible that it seems like it's not easy at all for black. So this is a typical position, typical game, where you have a top player playing with the black pieces, and still the white player who has a few hundred rating points less is actually black is suffering. How to win the game, how to hold the game possibly. But of course it's I would rather play it with white probably,
No,
but still it's extremely difficult to win.
No, this is, I think we can say after e4, if e4, but why didn't he play queen c8
Instead of what?
instead of e4?
He just wanted to get rid of that.
No, I think there is, no, he has to defend on c5.
Well, knight a7 is possible.
But rook b3.
Yes, exchange.
Okay, queen c7 is forced, no?
Coming back.
So he didn't like the
Well,
idea
the question is whether who does it favor. For example, you go away, I don't know where, queen e4.
And tonight...
No, but now it will be not so easy because the a5 is also under attack, you know.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure. I think he just felt that the e5 pawn is something that it doesn't give him extra.
No, but the question is whether now the position will be not the same, but without the e5 pawn.
But I think he wants to be using the e5 square for the bishop. He wants to go active. He wants to go queen g5, let's say. He wants to somehow...
No, but now if, let's say, knight c3.
Rook b4.
Then rook b4, we talked about that, yes, okay. I mentioned it. Even that maybe not so simple, because takes and knight b5. So the structure is, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not obvious. Maybe I should just go rook b3, you know. Just go rook b3, and then play bishop d4 check.
Okay.
You go something king h1, queen g5.
Or maybe f1, not clear.
Doesn't matter. King h1, anyway, queen g5. So, because suddenly black really has all his pieces playing.
But knight e2, let's say.
Okay.
Okay, there is some temporary initiative, but okay, you know, pawn when you are in exchange down. And you didn't avoid the rook exchange anyway. That's my problem.
Okay, so what's the situation? He went e6.
Well, maybe knight c3, rook c8. And the knight is hanging on...
Yeah, maybe he can keep it. That's
and it's not obvious.
Good option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the knight should be standing on b5.
On b5 for the time being.
Actually, white is not better, I think.
Sorry?
I mean, white is not better. I think, well, this is a very big difference that white has on f3.
Do you think that white is not better here with equal points?
I'm not sure for practical how really white. From practical point of view,
it's not
sure.
easy, that's sure.
And it's also extremely dangerous for white, because if black has the time to go queen g5 and bring the bishop as well, white can also get in trouble.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's a very intense position.
I don't think that Aronian is that optimistic.
No, of course not. But okay, for them it's not that important. What do you think about checking? Because I see the games are running on
Yes.
the US boards, and I saw Wesley So.
Okay.
Wesley So is playing on board too. So let's see now how the team is going. The team is, I think US is leading 1 point. If I see correctly on the screen, then I
Yes,
think board 3
Dominguez,
won already,
Lenier
right?
Dominguez, yes.
So Dominguez
He
won. They leading 1 point. So let's see in this position. White is Wesley So against Miguel Sergio.
Okay, he has an extra pawn and a better structure.
Extra pawn, better structure.
The bishop is a bit
well, is not
passive.
very active. Yeah. Well, White will have to need some good technique, I guess. Knight d6 was the last move after rook
He
a7.
wants to go to c4 maybe somehow.
Yeah, maybe knight c4, of course.
Well, passed pawns can be very dangerous. I mean, if black will have the... But okay, the king is close. But just in case, I mean, sometimes such pawns like a5 and c4 can be quite dangerous.
Though it's not so easy for the technique.
Yeah, the bishop does not have moves.
Because once White plays f4, then the e4 square is going to be.
That's
right?
that's
e4
nice.
E4 is not easy because, I mean, there is a control over the e4 square.
Yes, and there is always also knight c3 check as intermediate move.
Yeah, and as we know, the knights are tricky.
The knight should not move away from e5 because this would allow knight c4.
Yeah, so what about attacking the knight on d6, playing
Okay,
rook e6?
that
rook a6
that is a reasonable.
to push
thing.
away. So is black going to play knight c4?
Yeah, that's the question. Does he has enough dynamism?
But maybe already after that, still f4 is not so good because of knight c3.
Knight c3. I still have this.
Yeah. So what about
not so clear.
taking?
Okay, takes.
And e4.
No, the bishop has got a diagonal. Yeah, maybe it is just as winning as it looks now.
Now we see Wesley and Aronian next to him. Still, I have to used to
Played
that.
king d1 apparently.
What happened?
This is the first game of Aronian as an American, no? At least a team game.
In team.
Yes, in
Yeah.
team.
So Fabiano is left out today. He is not playing.
many teams did that.
Yes,
Board,
yes. Well, and the American team anyway is so strong, and they know it when really they are into the game and they are fighting for the first
Yes.
with strong, very strong top teams like India or even Poland or
Yeah, even
the
some
top seeds.
some grandmaster team.
Yeah, I
already,
mean, strong 2650, nearly 2700 team. I mean, they know that it's going to be extremely tough. So, and anyway, Fabiano just played not long time ago the candidates tournament.
Yes. He's the only one
So,
from. Yeah.
I don't know how much he recovered from that.
Yeah, especially that things started well,
He was
but
very disappointed.
yeah.
A disappointing event for him because after the first half of the event, he was there. He was just behind number 2, behind
Yes.
Nepomniachtchi, and well, of
Everything
course.
went wrong, yeah.
Of course, the whole world was talking about it, whether the number 2 seed will give anything special or only the prize money. And it was so interesting as I was the candidate, the commentator on Chess24. It was interesting when I saw people talking about it. And I was talking with some of the top players, seeing interviews by them. And it was interesting that people simply did not believe it. That Magnus can be serious about that.